Hey, good morning, Choice Residential. Hope your day's off to a wonderful start. Today, I want to talk about building rapport with a buyer that maybe you don't know very well. Maybe you met them at an open house or you're at an open house. Or maybe they're an internet lead that you got and you are showing them a house because, of course, getting that appointment, showing them that first home is typically step number one in converting an online lead. But you're there with this random buyer that you don't necessarily have a relationship with yet, and you've got to focus on building rapport. And so how do you do that? Well, first of all, you're not going to be jamming the buyer agency agreement down their throat because they don't trust you yet. And so they're not going to want to work with you until they trust you. And you don't need to just be selling yourself, telling them how great you are, because nobody wants to hear that either. You need to demonstrate your greatness and let them come to learn and understand how great you are and why they should be working with you. And so here are some examples on how you might consider doing that. When you're showing a home, you want to find every opportunity that you can to add value to that buyer and simultaneously be demonstrating your expertise in a functional and practical way to that buyer. So here are some examples. Number one, you can ask the buyer, hey, how familiar are you with the area? Are you familiar with the schools or the restaurants, the grocery stores in the area? This is a great location in town. Or how familiar are you with the North Carolina purchase contract? There's some stuff you want to make sure you're aware of. So as we go through the house, you're thinking about it, right? Fixtures that convey, personal property that doesn't convey, the due diligence fee, the inspection process. You start having these discussions and it's going to demonstrate that you're an expert in buying and selling real estate, and it's going to give them information that they need. Maybe the house has masonite siding. So when you're on the back deck, you go over to the siding and say, hey, have you guys ever owned a home that had masonite siding before? And if they haven't, then you go into explaining masonite siding. Hey, it's pressed paper. As long as it stays painted and sealed, it's fine. It'll do its job in terms of keeping the water out. But if you don't keep it sealed up, here's what can happen. And you find a little nail pop where water has gotten in there and it has delaminated a little bit. You can have that discussion and let them know, hey, once a year, you're going to want to have a painter come out, just touch things up. Just be aware that's an expense for you if you own a home with masonite siding. Don't worry, it was used on tons of homes in the area. It's just something for you to consider and be aware of, right? Maybe the house has granite countertops and you ask them, hey, have you ever had granite countertops before? If they say no, okay, great. Granite countertops are wonderful. People love them. Just be aware that about once a year, every 6 months, whatever it is, that you're going to need to seal them. They make stuff you can just buy at the hardware store, spray it on, wipe it in, no problem. Also, even though they say you can put things like a hot pot on them or that they won't stain, don't do it. They can burn. If Kool-Aid gets spilled on it, make sure you wipe it up right away. It actually can stain. So those are the types of things that maybe you can add value. A couple other ideas where you see broken gas seals in window panes. Go ahead and point those out. Tell them, say, see these water drops inside the panes or see how it's foggy? It's a broken gas seal in the window. Don't be alarmed. It has a minimal impact on the thermal efficiency of the window, but obviously it doesn't improve on its own. It won't get better over time. It'll just get worse. You can replace the window sash. That's the way to generally fix it. That'll cost you a few $100s to have that window sash replaced. Those are the kinds of discussions you can have with a new buyer, so that as you're going through the house and you're just launching, amazing fact, and helpful information, you're really demonstrating value. And that buyer is likely going to want to work with you. You don't want to be a robot when you're showing houses. Just open the door and kind of let them go. You don't have to lead them through like Vanna White, but you do need to be with them and kind of help guide them. Let them know what's going on in the market. Let them know what other buyers are doing. Another great example is a formal living room. Well, a lot of buyers, especially younger buyers, but really all buyers, are looking at that formal living room and saying, well, I have no use for that. And so that could be a negative to them. But you could say, okay, great. Do you have a use for a formal living room? And they say no. You say, well, here's what a lot of buyers in our market are doing right now. They're turning this into a playroom for the children. They're turning this into a home office. You could actually frame in a wall here and add a door. So now it's a sectioned off room, right? So there's different things you can do to help expand kind of their creative way they're thinking about the house. Those are the things that are really going to add value. So be thinking about that in terms of how you tour buyers through homes. It's not just buyers who you just met. It's every buyer you're working with. But this works especially well in order to create trust and value with a buyer that you did just meet. hopefully this helps. If you have other tips and tricks and things that work for you, please, as always, put them in the remarks below. All of our agents would love to benefit from that. Until next time, take care.